All right.
Oh, it says we're streaming.
There
All
we
right, well,
go.
bye, Steve. See, we said we'd be on TV together at one point.
Yeah. This is just the beginning, though. We've got more time to make more happen.
Because we're so young. It wasn't that long ago that we were in school.
I know. It feels like honest to God, it feels like a few years ago.
I agree with you 100%. And it's funny because I have students now who've been with me for a while who are now going into university, and some of them were researching theater schools and stuff. And
Right.
I'm commenting thinking, you know, Ryerson is this and that, and it has this. And I'm like, wait, I don't even know if it does anymore. Like, it's been
Have
so
you been
long.
have you been by the school at all lately?
I have not.
So I went by there because I was in Toronto. I guess like a year and a half ago. I was there to film The Expanse, right? And I was like, oh, I said I'm going to spend one day and just kind of go to my old stomping grounds. Like my mom lives down the street from my old, elementary school. That was a trip because like when you're going there, you don't realize how tiny it is, and then you go there as an adult and you're like, oh, this is like, it's tiny.
Yeah. It
So I
seemed
did go
huge
to.
when you were a kid, though, I'm
Oh
sure.
my God. Yeah, of course. But then when I went to Ryerson, they've changed they've demolished our building. The building we were in is gone. They have this incredible new building with a beautiful, I think they've got like a beautiful theater downstairs, and the facilities are just amazing. I was just like, wow, man, like what a difference. Like they've got this brand new modern building, and we were like, they used to, store cadavers in our building before we were there.
Oh, yeah.
So
when you said they tore it down, I was like, it's kind of about time.
Yeah, right.
It had its issues. It had character.
Right. That's the way you look at it. Character, the dust, and the moldy smell. That's character.
Character. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the dust was from 60 years previous.
Right.
It had petrified on the floor.
Yeah, right.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm happy for them because, to have brand facilities to do what they did, we kind of had to make facilities out of what we had.
I mean, you remember the studio, right? The studio theater, though, like, there's a pole like right in the middle. Like, but I mean, like,
yeah,
that is character, though, and it really is about like, when you're when that's what you have to work with, it's like it kind of makes the work that much more precious and special. You know what I mean?
Well, and you learn to deal with adversity because you have to learn how to work with the space you have. And
exactly,
we did it, right? And
exactly.
We lived in close confines for 3 years. And when I explain that to people, I have to like fully explain because I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like we were together from 8 a.m. usually until 8 or 9 p.m.
Yep.
Most of us in all the same classes at the same time.
Yeah. Remember, we used to have to go to, before 8 o'clock, I think starting from 7, we were supposed to do physical work, go to the gym, or what have you. So the people that kind of followed through on that were together from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. You're right. Yeah. Like I used to tell people, like, especially in the winters, I wouldn't see the sun sometimes. You'd go down into the gym before the sun rises, and then you'd be in class all day, and then you get out after the sun's gone. Like you'd go all this time without seeing the sun. It was crazy.
We loved every minute of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like being in a family, and there was drama, just like being with a family almost 24/7. But there was also a lot of fun and a lot of parties. And I was thinking about, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure there was a time, a pub night, that you may have carried me home and you may have removed my contacts. Am I right in remembering that?
I don't remember the contacts, but I certainly remember the rest of it. Oh man, those are character building stuff and friendship building stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
look at this.
Oh, yeah.
We're years later talking about it. It's amazing.
Oh, for sure. And that's the thing too with being in theater school. There's so many vivid memories because it was just so extra when you think about it, but in such good ways. Like I tell so many people that it's not just about learning the craft. You learn so much about yourself.
Yeah.
You learn so much about how to deal and communicate with people. Because you're forced in situations with people you may or may not get along with, but you're together, all good and bad, for the time you have, and you've got to make the best of it. Like, do you remember that class, the kissing class we did?
Yes.
With Kelly?
Yes.
And we walked into that class and somehow got on the topic. She couldn't believe we had never done a kissing class. And next thing we know, she's throwing people together, not even considering who
gender. Right. Nothing.
gender, nothing.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we're in the deep end. Here we go.
Here we go.
Can we all swim? Everybody good? Okay.
Yeah. Everybody's going, okay, let's do this. You couldn't do that stuff these days. I mean, like, honestly, it was an experience. It's not something that I would ever regret or be like, oh, that was inappropriate or whatever, but it's true. Like, you couldn't get along, couldn't do that today.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially without, consent. But I mean, it was different times then. And of course, I don't look back at it and think, I felt victimized.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Kind of a good experience because and you can attest to this as an actor. Sometimes you don't know who your partner is until the day you're on set, and they film a love scene and you're kissing a stranger.
Look, one of my first theatrical jobs ever in Toronto was on the show Fast Track. And my scene, because it was showing on, I think, Showtime, I think, in the United States, one of the cable channels in the United States, the scene, the girl was topless. So, like, imagine having to shoot that with someone you've never met. You know what I mean? Now, it's not like it was only like there was no physicality. It was just she just opened her shirt. You know what I mean, on camera. But like, imagine how awkward quickly that can get. You know what I mean? Even that without the rest of it. It's crazy.
Which brings me to my next memory. When we were doing a show with Jeanette Lambermont, and it was warm, and she had a very specialized warm-up, which was really fabulous. It was really a great way to sort of connect us all. And I remember
the music of that. The music. Do you remember what that sounded like? I can't remember the song, but I can hear it,
Yeah. And I was eating with some of the girls, and we walked into the theater, and it was Annabelle, I think, and maybe Meredith. And you and Dimitri were there in your boxer shorts, you had stripped down, and were doing your warm up in your underwear. And it was meant to be a joke, but we looked at each other, the girls, and we're like,
yeah,
okay.
Let's go.
And we took our tops off and we joined in, and people walked in going, what the hell is going on? Okay. And we were all in our underwear doing this warm up. So, it really, it says a lot about how you really get to know the people in those programs. And there was a level of safety.
Right.
And security. And we're just like, oh, you're not going to show me up. Throw it down.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
exactly. Those are some fun times. And it's amazing because you said it's, we were there for 3 years. But honestly, I think because the time was so formative, like, it feels like such a bigger chunk of, for me anyway, of my life. Like, it's so much more significant than, some other random 3 years of my life. You know what I mean? So it feels so much longer.
It does, absolutely, because we ate, breathed, slept theater school.
Yeah.
And they make it intense for a reason.
Yeah.
but holy man, like it really does bond people. It kind of like, you know, throw a bunch of people on a stranded desert island and see if they can survive. You know, it's either going to become what's that book?
Lord of the Flies. Yeah.
Lord of the Flies, or, you know, they're going to work together and it's going to become a team. So it's definitely different. And any of my students who auditioned, I've always warned them, like, know what you're getting into. You've got to really, you've got to want it, because it's intense, and it can be the hardest, most intense time of your life, but it will also be the most rewarding. It will be prolific in that you learn so much about yourself in that time too. So you've got to be ready to kind of look in the mirror and face those things, because, you know, it was a journey for all of us.
It's not much different than career, trying to pursue an acting career. You know what I mean? Like in terms of, it is different, but it's in terms of like, you better kind of love it. It's the same thing, because, you know, one of the things that ended up freeing me up from auditions, in auditions, is when I realized, oh, like, you know, I used to go in trying to impress. Oh, I want to be really good. And then you realize, wait a minute, most of casting doesn't have to do with that. I can be brilliant, and they go, oh, he's amazing. Too short, next. or too tall, or too skinny. That's it. And honestly, or you can physically fit it and you can kind of not be so good, and they'll call your agent and go, okay, get them to work on this and this and this for the callback. You know, like that's so I guess you learn how much of it is out of your hands, and that kind of frees you up, because you're like, oh, okay, well, you know, like, okay, I'll just go in and do my work. But because so much of it is out of your hands, you have to be doing it for the right reason. You know, there's no, you know, there are, we both know, and I've come to know other brilliant actors that aren't working in the industry anymore. You know what I mean? And it's not because of their talent. It's because there's just too much that's not in your hands, and that's what it is. So if you're doing it and you're going to try and stick through it, it better, you know, it better be because you kind of have to, you know what I mean? Because you know,
it's that.
Trust me, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it has to light you up. There has to be that passion, because it is so much rejection. It's so much that's, like you said, out of your control. So it becomes a numbers game. You got to realize you're going to audition. You may book something at some point, but you keep auditioning.
That's it.
You never know what's going to happen. I remember I had a commercial audition, and I walked in. They had a couple of us go in at a time, and they said, okay, look up at the corner there and imagine it's the sun beating down in your eyes. So squint.
Right.
Right. And so we were like, squint. Okay. And then it was, okay, now there's light in your eyes and somebody's taking a picture. And so it was all about squinting.
Right.
And I walked out of that audition. I'm like, 3 freaking years in theater school did not prepare me for this audition. Right?
Because you never know what it is they're looking for. You just never know.
Yeah. And it had nothing to do with acting whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Squint at the corner, squint at the chair.
That's so funny. That is so funny. But I mean, that's typical, especially for the commercials, you know, like if you watch commercials and see what people are doing, it's really is a lot of stuff like that, you know?
Absolutely.
It's a slightly different skill. I feel that, especially with commercials, it boils down a lot more to like how comfortable you are with yourself. That's really it. How comfortable you can be standing in the room and there's a camera and just be natural. That's really what I think most of commercial auditions anyway kind of boil down to.
Oh yeah. And you grow into a comfort, right? Like I had an audition last week where I had to be in a sports bra and biking shorts.
Right.
On Zoom.
Right.
Like it was an online audition. And I at this point in my life, I'm like, oh hell, I don't care. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Would 20-year-old me have been as confident to do that? Probably not. Yeah. But 40-something-year-old me was like, oh hell, I don't care.
Yeah, who cares? Let's just do this.
And you do what you have to. It was a little bizarre on Zoom, I'll have to say, but
Sure.
it didn't kill me.
Yeah, and our perceptions, the thing you realize is like your perception of yourself is always different than what's actually out there. So all those idiosyncrasies, all those things you think, oh, I don't like my this and I don't like my that. Oftentimes you're the only one that sees that. You know, someone else is
Yeah.
looking at you in the bikini going, ooh, hello, diva. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. They don't even know, or they don't notice, because that's not what they're looking for. They're not,
right,
they're looking for something specific, and you don't even know what that is.
right,
So
right,
you can just go in, do your thing, and leave. And
right.
if you hit, and if not, go to the next one.
Yeah.
So let's back it up. And we finished theater school. Incidentally, I found some pictures.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
Well, I found some pictures in theater school. Hang on, can I show this? No. Okay.
Maybe hold it in front of you. If you hold it in front of you, it might stay. Like,
can you see?
I see JD. Who is that?
That's you.
That's not me, is it?
That is totally you.
Do you know what it's from? Is that from
I believe it's from Under Milkwood.
Yeah, I was gonna say. That is awesome. Oh my God. You got to send me some of these.
I will.
I get the feeling that you've got more.
Well, and I also found the programs from our show in third year. I'm a pack rat. And, from class.
Oh my gosh.
And graduation day.
Oh, look at that. Look at us.
How long ago was that?
Love it. Let's not say. Last year. I think it was last year. If anybody asks me, that's what I'm telling them.
So we could say 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Believe that?
Yeah.
I even found our invitation to the bunny ball and tickets.
The bunny ball. Oh my God, I forgot about that. The bunny ball.
I did too. And I'm like, I kept the tickets? What the hell? But I did. And I even kept a card when we did Under Milkwood from all of you guys when I music directed Under Milkwood. Dear Diva, thank you for putting up with us. Because you guys were a pain in my ass.
Yes. That is hilarious. That is so funny. Listen, so the first time that I met you or saw you, you remember, I think it was day one, and they were having us, how did it work? They were having us pair up, I think, to kind of just create little scenes. First, you would do a scene by yourself or do something, then you'd pair up. And it was you and Sam Espy.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys sang that song. I was like, oh my God, these girls, I fell in love with your voice at that moment. I was like, holy crap. I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be here. I think I'm in the wrong space.
Oh, no, you were totally in the right space. And let's talk about your singing voice, because holy crap, man, I could listen to you sing the phone book, even though those don't exist anymore.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, we all had a journey in the whole singing department at Ryerson at the time, given who the voice coach was.
Yeah.
Who totally wrecked us all. But we didn't do so much in terms of musical theater. I mean, we dabbled here and there with some stuff, but it wasn't our focus. And then in theater school, you were up for parts in Rent, the musical at that time. Because I remember we were in our third year, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
In rehearsals and doing the two shows that we were, and you kept being called back and called back. How many times?
So in total for Rent, I was seen for that musical 13 times. It wasn't all for Toronto. I was seen for Toronto, including callbacks and everything. I was seen in Toronto. I was seen for New York. I was seen for the German company, I think it was. So like, yeah, so it was like, I think it was 3 or 4 different companies that I had been seen and called back for and just never landed, you know?
Yeah, which
But
was
there's,
unbelievable because you performed the Angel song,
yeah, yeah,
Today for You, Tomorrow, or today, yeah, Today
yeah,
for
yeah,
You, Tomorrow
yeah,
for You. You performed that at our Agents Day,
that's right.
and we
Yeah.
were all like, how is he not getting this part? Because you were so good in
Oh,
drag and the dancing and the singing. Like, it was brilliant, Steve. It was so brilliant, and
oh,
it was
thanks.
totally something we had never seen from you in the 3 years that we were performing
Yeah,
and doing stuff together. And so that didn't pan out, but not long after that, something
yeah,
did come about from the same
right.
casting director.
100%. So I mean, that just goes to show you, like, you just, all you do is you go in and you do your best, you leave your best work behind, and then you try and forget about it because you never know what things will come up afterwards. So this was Stephanie Gorin, whom I adore. She you know, yeah, she cast Rent, she cast Lion King, and she'd seen me for all kinds of TV stuff. And why I love her so much is because she doesn't like pull any punches. She
Oh,
loved me. I mean, I haven't spoken to her for years, but she used to love me. And I remember she pulled me aside one day and she goes, "You need to work on your acting." And I laughed, and she looked at me, she goes, "No, no, no, seriously, you've got to work on your acting." I was like, this is after I got, like, this is like after 3 years of theater school. I'm like, okay, what does this mean? And she wasn't, and afterward, we spoke afterwards, and she wasn't trying to tell me I was a bad actor. She was trying to tell me, keep going, keep growing, keep, you know what I mean?
right.
But it was just kind of funny that
Yeah. You're like,
how it came. I was like, whoo, I think this feels like a positive thing, but doesn't really sound
yeah.
all that positive. Yeah. But
The
yes,
thing
so
I
so
love
sorry that.
about Stephanie is if she likes you and you've shown yourself worthy, she will work hard to find something for you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
she really does. And it took a while, and it took her seeing me a lot. And then she would start calling me in for things because
yeah.
she would go, hey, you know what? This might be yours. And, I
Right.
get in for, these odd musicals, and I got called in for Come From Away and stuff like that. So that's what I love, is that she recognizes something in people, and
Right.
she remembers, and
Yeah.
she'll pull out that file when it's something that she thinks is for you.
Yeah. But that's what makes a good casting director. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to know who the talented actors are, but you kind of also got to know who they are. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know them. You have to have some knowledge of them as a person. I think that's also what makes a good agent. Like, you'll have a breakdown come out, and it'll describe a person, and you or I might look the part, but if they're looking for a certain type of personality that I'm not, or vice versa. You know what? Diva doesn't really fit the physical description, but my God, like, this is her. Oftentimes that's the gold right there, is like when, oh, and it takes a talented and a hardworking agent and casting director to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right. And
Yeah.
especially with all the talent they see. Like, I
Right.
can't even imagine now, having been on the other side of the table as well. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine doing a cattle call where
Right. Oh my God.
hundreds of people show up.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having to sit through.
I'd go insane. Me personally, I would go. That would be hard to sit and watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine, like, American Idol. Like, imagine what they go through, like, city after city, days upon days of auditions.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted thinking about it.
I know, right?
Yeah. Oh my
Totally.
God.
Although there's intersperting hits of like greatness, and you're like, oh yeah, this is why I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that somebody hits it, and you're like, oh, okay, these last 3 hours was worth it. Um,
Yeah.
So
But I think that's the thing about going into auditions is the way I've started to look at it is it's forming a relationship, especially when it's people you don't know. It's formulating and cultivating a relationship so that, with your talent and with who you are, so that you don't go in and expect, okay, this first one, I'm going to nail it and get the part. You might nail it and you probably won't get the part. But what we will do is form a relationship with this person who will then call you in and remember you. And then when the right thing comes across their desk, there you go.
absolutely. That's why you don't burn any bridges in this industry.
Yeah, it's also right. You also don't know what other people are going through, so you kind of just keep your mouth shut. And there've been, usually it's the commercial casting ones because they're seeing so many people as such, like what we were just talking about,
Yeah.
that someone will be irritable or what have you, and maybe they'll snap at you, but you know what, you just kind of take it with stride. Like not too long ago, one of these Zoom auditions, there was all these technical issues, going on Zoom and then going into this waiting room and all this kind of stuff, and this lady insisted that I was there way longer than I had. I was like, I haven't heard the explanation for the thing. And she started getting angry at me. And I was like, but I haven't. She said, yes, you were here. You came in at like, so, like, what am I going to do? Argue with her? So I just kind of go, look, I said, okay, well, whatever the case is, wherever we're getting mixed up, I haven't heard the explanation of what I'm supposed to do. So if you want to put someone ahead of me, that's cool. And then I'll wait until he comes back out. But I mean, like, she literally was upset with me going, no, you came in at this point, you heard it. And I'm like, no, why would I lie about that? I want to hear the explanation. I want to know what I'm doing when I go into the audition. So
Yeah.
I just kept my mouth shut, and then I got a call back for it. I didn't end up getting the job, but like, I just imagine, like, I was upset and I wanted to, stand up for myself. And I was just like, you know what? You don't know what kind of day she's had. You don't know what she's dealing with. Just stop. Don't spread the negativity. Just take it. And then, and then there you go. I wouldn't have gotten a call back if I spoke back to her,
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of people mistaken sort of some of the abrasiveness you might encounter as, the industry is hard and harsh. It is, but I keep telling those I train, they want you to succeed. They
yeah,
have to cast somebody. They
right.
have to fill that role. So they're not rooting for you to fail. They're hoping you are the one.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they're not being negative at you. They're under pressure to find the right
Right,
person for that role, and they want you to succeed.
right.
So it's not a negative thing. Yeah, of course, you're always going to encounter that. But it's like you said, you can't take it personally because it has nothing to do with talent. It could be that, you're too tall, too short,
Yeah,
too blonde, too whatever. Um,
right.
you never know what they're thinking. So you've got to take it in stride, and you build relationships just like any business. You
Yeah,
build relationships, and
yeah,
you'll reap the benefits, which is
yeah,
exactly what happened with Lion King for you.
right.
See
Yeah,
how
no,
I circled
that was it.
that?
Yeah, I know, because I took you on a journey. You're like, you got to rein me back in now. We're talking about Lion King, dude. Please. We've only got an hour, man. Like, um, so the story with Lion King was this. Like you said, I've been seen for Rent a bunch of times, and then when Lion King came along, I was at I think it was a film audition for Stephanie Gorin, and she goes to me, hey, have you been keeping up with your singing? And I hadn't, like, to be honest with you, like, I liked to sing.
Yeah.
I just never really, I was too self-conscious. I didn't think I was good enough. So I never really wanted to pursue that and find out that I wasn't good enough, to find out that I was right about it. So I always shied away from singing. And, but I mean, when she asked me, I was like, yeah, sure I have, so she goes, okay, go to HMV, go and listen to, yeah, right?
HMV, oh my God.
HMV. She goes, go to HMV, go listen to Endless Night and tell me if you can sing it. And she goes, and get back to me. I go, sure. I go to HMV, I listen to it, and I go, yeah, I think I could sing that. And then I left it. And 2 weeks later, she called my agent with an audition. And then that was it. I went through, I think, 4 auditions. The first one, I BS'd my way around it because I was so it was in the middle of winter when this process started for me.
Yeah.
and I was mad congested, and I couldn't hit the high A's. So, so I'm not encouraging anybody to do this, by the way. I couldn't really hit the high A's clearly. So, and it's my first audition. I was nervous. So luckily, the high A's start on bar 17. And so many times with these auditions, they go bring in 16 bars of a song of your choice. So I went in, I sang the first 16 bars and stopped. And her assistant looked at me because he was running it. He goes, "What happened?" I go, "I was supposed to do, oh, I thought it was 16 bars." And he goes, "Oh, no, no, no. But you know what? You sound great. You're getting a call back." And that was it. I'm telling you, if I had to sing if I had to sing bar 17, you and I would probably be having a very different conversation right now.
So smart.
I just fully like weaseled my way out of that one.
And you're so charming too. He's so nice. And you're like, holy hell, thank God.
Oh, I was like, yeah, seriously. I was like, thank God. I was like, oh, I don't know it. I didn't learn it. Yeah.
Well, you got the part.
I did, yes.
And it became huge in Toronto.
Yes.
And I mean, the whole show itself was so life-changing in the musical theater world, because all of a sudden there was puppetry and beauty and all this stuff happening on stage that we hadn't quite seen up until that point. And
ethnicity, if I can add that,
I was just gonna say, it also really showcased an ethnic group of talented people in so many various ways, physicality, singing, like, it's just such a magnificent. And of course, coming off the tails of the movie as well, I mean, doesn't hurt. And music by Elton John also doesn't hurt. And that song in particular, Endless Night, I think is still one of my favorite musical theater pieces.
Oh, 100%.
And I can't remember, hear that song without thinking of you now. Just because in my eyes, it was like the best I had ever heard, hands down. And I remember seeing Lion King for the first time and crying when you came out on stage, because I was so proud. And there you all in all your shirtless glory and owning that stage. And it was so magnificent to celebrate, having gone through theater school and gone through that journey and grown from that, to see you, swinging across stage. It was just such a magnificent feeling for me. And it was probably the first of many that I would eventually have, having students do similar. And I can't not talk about it without bringing this out.
Ha! Me and my shirtless glory, is it?
You and your shirtless glory.
Oh my gosh.
And I can't remember who I went to see the show with. It may have been Sarah. And I remember you came out, we looked at each other and went, whoa, he's been working out.
Listen, man, very early on, they were like, you're going to be shirtless. I swear, I don't even think the sentence was finished before I was like, I got to go. I was like, push-ups, chin-ups, curls. I spent, because especially the first part of rehearsal, the rehearsal process, it was a couple months of rehearsal, if I remember correctly. And the first while, they were focusing, they went in order, and I don't really come on until the end of the first act. So I had sort of a lot of free time in rehearsal. I'd spend half that time at the gym and the other half working on the stuff. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna come out and look like a pipsqueak. I can't.
Well,
I wasn't gonna do it. Thank you.
You wowed a lot of people. You had a lot of fans. Probably for various reasons, not just playing Simba. Just saying. There was a lot of girls who, daydreamed about Steven Allerick and Topless Glory. So that ended up being a journey that took you further than the bounds of Toronto.
Yeah. So I I did the show on Broadway for a little while, that was a trip. I mean, there's nothing like that. No, I couldn't even begin to explain to you the experience of that. You know, when you talk about being in the audience and watching someone the pride and love and joy that you feel, it's reciprocated when you're on stage. You feel the audience, as you know, the energy of the audience. The audience is another cast member. If it's a dead audience, it makes it very hard to put on a lively show, and vice versa. If it's a lively audience, man, you walk off the stage and go, man, that was a good show. You know,
Yeah.
like it.
I Woo!
Yeah. Right. So while I think the Toronto cast I was with was the best cast, and you know, look, in fairness, that cast was the original cast in Toronto, so they were handpicked. By the time I went to New York, the show was 5 or 6 years old, so you know, people have been replaced and all that kind of stuff. But that being said, I felt the cast in Toronto was incredible and was the best cast I worked with. But the energy in New York, because of what we just said, there was nothing like it. Like my first time swinging out on that stage, and then hearing people going crazy, like, oh, whoa, like it's a world of difference. There's nothing, there's nothing there's no words for me to express like what that feeling is like.
Yeah. I'm sure. You met your beautiful wife doing that show too, which
right.
Wait for it. I've got a few things here because remember, I'm a pack rat.
Yeah.
So your invitation.
Yes, to our wedding. Yeah.
Which I thought was a press junket because I thought you were in a movie. Because you were living in LA at the time. And I remember getting this going, oh my God, they both got cast?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, one man, one woman. Wait, what? Oh, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Like, this is brilliant. And of course, I've got the program from your wedding, the popcorn and the ticket from the red carpet.
My God, you did keep everything, huh?
Right? And I've got some beautiful pictures of you and Saskia.
Oh, wow.
And of course, your wedding. Wedding. So yeah, I'm so glad that I've kept a lot of this because it comes in handy for stuff like this.
For like this, yeah.
But you know, I remember there was even an article in the paper.
All right.
That talked about your journey up, and then love Simba and Nala.
Right. The Toronto Star covered it. That's right.
Yeah. But I mean, beyond that, I mean, you guys are still together, which says a lot. It wasn't just a showmance, as actors call it.
Right. Well, we got 2 kids, so
I was gonna say you got 2 beautiful kids, and who are, you know, well, first of all, my mom has always said this because you were in my wedding as well. And, you know, to see you and your wife, who's gorgeous, my mom's like, their babies are going to be ridiculous. Her prediction was not wrong because your kid's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Like ridiculous.
Don't tell them. It'll get to their head, man. Don't tell them that.
Talented in their own right? Like they're doing pretty amazing things, both of them as well.
Yeah, they, you know, so we haven't gotten to it yet, but I shot a really huge movie for Paramount. I can't say what it is, but if you go to IMDb, you'll see it. It's on there. So or if you Google it, like, you know, Deadline covered it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my brother used to play with the toys when he was younger.
Yeah. Well, it was one of my favorite toys. The character was like my favorite character, you know. But in any case, because of that, I changed agencies. I went with a bigger, you know, agency, and then the pandemic hit, and when that happened, I was getting emails from people I didn't know with the agency sending me, oh, there's this or that. And at the time it was, it was like 99% voiceover. So I was getting these voiceover auditions, and when I was in Toronto, my Toronto agency, ETM, they're huge in voiceovers.
Yeah.
But having been here for 16 years, you know what I mean? I never really pursued it. So when I was getting them, I was like, okay. I called this woman up and I said, her name's Melissa Berger Brennan. I call her up and I go, hey, look, what can I do to like help you help me? What tools do you need? What can I put together? What can I do? She goes, look, I'm not an agent with the adult voiceover department. I'm kind of sending these to you because I'm this weird hybrid of an agent, but I think I'm coming across the stuff that I think you're right for, so that's why I'm sending it to you. Really, I mostly handle kids. And when I heard that, I said, oh. I said, my son's 12. He's got a raspy voice. She goes, stop. 12 and raspy? She goes, I'm down. And she signed him right then. And then I was like, well, my daughter is 8, and she's like, cool. So she took both of them on, and it's made the difference. Like Tristan, my son Tristan's been working mostly in voiceover again because of the pandemic. But I mean, he did. I'm not even sure if I can talk about it. So to be on the safe side, I'll just say he did an episode of a pretty big Netflix show. He's
Can
done.
I say it, or will I get in trouble? Because it's out. People have seen it.
Oh, I'm talking about. Well, I think. Go ahead. The one I'm talking about isn't out yet. What you saw, I think, was voiceover, and that was okay. Yes, it was for WandaVision. So because it's out, right? So because it's out, yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay.
But aside from that, there's a show coming out. I saw the preview for it. I went to the premiere and it was amazing. It's called The Barbarian and the Troll. It like uses puppets and voiceover and stuff. And so he plays a pretty major character, recurring character. So he comes on in like episode, I think, 10 or 11 or something like that. But the show itself is great. So he's doing that. He's got a role in a pretty big feature film coming, voiceover. I can't say more about that. And then the Netflix show hasn't come out yet, but he's got a role in that. So I mean, like, to do that in a pandemic, I was looking at him going, yo, I want your career, man. Like, what's happening here?
In theaters want his career.
Right, yeah, right. And again,
also, do you remember in theater school, they said voiceover is the hardest acting work to get into. Yeah. You're going to spend years auditioning. They take the same people all the time, and your kid walks in and boom.
Yeah, just like that. Bang, 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 bang. It's but they're right. I mean, they're right. Especially nowadays, you can just record at home. WandaVision, we recorded at home. You know what I mean? Like, we recorded that job at home. He did something for Mank, and they took his audition. So, you can now, like, not only do the job at home, but you can audition from anywhere. So where it used to be, all right, we're in Toronto, we got to come into this place or go into the agency and record there, that limits the scope of where they can look. Now they can look, I'm competing against someone in Germany, someone in Australia, someone in Japan, and on top of it, people who don't have to look any specific way. So voiceovers, I think they're right. It's the hardest one because of that. There's no variable other than the voice. That's it. You don't even have to be in the same city.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing for a 13-year-old to kick off his career the way.
Yeah. Right.
How long have you been at it, Steve?
Yeah, right. No, that's exactly it. I'm like, yo, let's switch. Your bank account's gonna look fatter than mine in a minute, man. I'm gonna need to start charging you rent.
Okay, look at it this way. At least college is taken care of.
That's right. Yeah,
right? He's socking it away, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, we put it away and we don't let him touch it. And we haven't told him that when he's 18, it's legally his. And I'm not going to tell him that
until his 18th birthday.
I'm just going to try and get him fiscally and financially set in his mind by the time he's 18, so I don't give it to him and he goes, oh, I'm going to buy a car or something like. Like, I'm gonna buy this sports car. No, dude, don't do. Let's just hope.
Fingers crossed. So you moved to LA,
Mhm.
and I remember at the beginning of when you were there, you were talking about how hard it was because of, you know, for lack of a better word, segregation of ethnicities and the way Hollywood kind of, sorry, that's my dog, the way Hollywood sort of combined Asian actors and Black actors, and they didn't know what to do with you.
Yeah, that's accurate. It's funny because I just did a blog post for this website that's mixed identity. It's about being mixed race and stuff, and this is what I focused on. You know, it's true. I mean, look, my real last name is Chen, and I when I started acting, um, you know, that was actually a bit of a problem. So I use my middle name, Steven Allerick. That's where it comes from. You know what I mean? Um, uh, Nowadays, if I were starting acting today, I wouldn't do that. I'd have kept my original name. But that's
Yeah,
the sign of the times. You're 100% right. You
yeah,
know, it's not until very recently, even the people who were mixed race that were on TV, you know, like Halle Berry or Gary Dordain, you know, like he was on, I think it was CSI. You know,
yeah,
these are mixed race people. But the
yeah,
thing about it is that you could always kind of pin a race to them. You know, Gary Dordain is red haired, light skin, and blue eyes, but you look at him and you know African American,
yeah,
regardless of all of that. You
yeah.
know, Halle Berry, you know African American, but with someone like me, you can't put me in a box. You can't look at me and go, that's what he is. You know,
Nobody
some
puts
people see
baby
a
in a corner.
yeah, but you know, you can't do that. And I think the industry when I first moved out here wasn't quite ready to you know, it needed someone like The Rock to come in and pound
Yeah,
it down. And I mean, like, look at the route The Rock had to take.
yeah,
He was a wrestler, you know what I mean, a popular wrestler before any of that happened, and the only reason he was able to get into that was because of his lineage.
yeah.
So you know, he came in and knocked down some doors, I think, and that changed a lot of things. But until then, yeah, you know, it's so much easier for them to, for an audience, I think, to accept you when they can easily place you. And it's just taken that long of a time for the industry to start to go, you know, we have some interesting points of view that we can tell stories from now, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank God too, because it enriches the craft so much
Yep.
more, because it shouldn't be, oh, this person is Caucasian, Asian, Black. It should be,
Right.
God, I hate this character, or I love this character. Man,
Yeah.
he's good, right? It shouldn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with that. And subsequently, that makes me think of when I was on holiday with my mom and my niece. We were in Jamaica, and my mom's like, "Oh, there's a movie on TV tonight we should watch." And I said, "Okay." And she turns the movie on, and there's your face. I was like, "Up!"
What
And
movie was it?
the nanny cam,
Oh yeah.
that
Get
one.
out. Yeah. It
And
went through a different few names, so I can't remember what it's called now. It's like
yeah,
yeah, I can't remember what it's called now, but yes, I know which one you're talking about.
and I remember my listen to my mom, and I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. And I'm reading my book, and my niece is coloring. And so the movie's on, and I didn't even barely look up until I heard your voice. And then I was like, and then I went, oh my God, that's Steve Chen. And my mom's like, is it? And then she goes, oh my God, it is Steve Chen. And that's when I texted you. I'm like, I'm in Jamaica watching you on television. Like,
Yeah, that's so crazy.
it was so bizarre. And then you were a bad character. And I was like, oh no, I've never seen Stevie play a bad character before.
I know, I loved it though. I
Did
loved it.
you?
Yeah.
Well, it was so, well, obviously you were acting, but it was so weird for me to see it, because I was used to, especially in theater school, used to seeing you as either the comedic bozo or the romantic lead, right? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't often you played, like you were Montague and Romeo and Juliet. So to see that character, it was fascinating to watch it for me because it was so far beyond what I was used to seeing you do. But I mean, that just goes to show your range and your talent.
Oh, well, thank you. I gotta say that, like, to me, range and talent, range specifically, I think that's a little bit of a myth. We all have all these different parts of our personalities that we want to explore and feel out and not that I want to not that I want to know what it's like to be a pedophilic killer, but 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 the there is something that your soul kind of reaches out towards. So I don't know if I would call it range necessarily, because I feel like there might be a part similar but different enough that I just couldn't get another murderer, but I just don't gel with, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't mean to thank you for the compliment. I don't mean to stomp on it. I'm just saying, I think that's sort of my point of view on it. It's really just kind of what you connect with, and we all kind of connect with different things. I mean, I'm blessed in the fact that being this multiracial and having this much different heritage, I think helps me to connect to things in unique ways. So it just helps.
Well, and that's how you showed your creativity even in school, right? Because you did the best impression of your parents and you developed all these characters from that. Your poor mom. But also,
she always says to me too, she's like, I don't talk like that. She always says it. I imitate her. She laughs, but then she'll laugh, and then it's like she says to herself, wait, why am I laughing? I don't talk like that. That's what she always says. It's very funny.
It shows as an actor, you use your life experience and you use the people around you. When we did Lysistrata and I had to do the French Canadian thing, I had a friend whose parents were French Canadian, and it's her mom I used as inspiration for my character.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And it's really, when I thought about how she talked and how her mouth moved, was how I was able to really solidify that accent too. So you're constantly using the people, the things that you come in contact with to pull out these characters.
Yeah, I think it's because of how specific. Like I've come to the point where whenever I do something, and it's not easy, but I try to find something very specific and unique that is my in. Do you know what I mean? Like you try to find that, and sometimes it is. It's the way the mouth moves with their accent, and that kind of that starts to inform everything else. But it's like 99.999 times out of 100, it's something so specific and unique that you wouldn't realize it. You know what I mean? And that's the hard part, really, is to find out. But I think it is. That's why you end up using the people that because it's immediately specific and unique. You don't have to like dig, and you know what I mean? Like it's right there.
Yes, totally. And it's kind of a life lesson too, right? Like if you need to go into a meeting and you need to be the expert and it's intimidating, or you're going for a job interview and you're not sure what to expect, do something that pulls you into the persona you want to be when you walk through that door.
Right.
So I think it was in theater school, and I use this when I coach my students. I would go into auditions and I would put a in my bra or something that I knew was there that they didn't know. And I would think in there, like, they don't know I have 25 cents in my bra. Right? Because then that makes me feel like I have one up on them.
Yeah.
That gives me confidence. And it also makes it alluring because they're like, there's just something about her. What is it?
Yeah.
Like when I had my Broadway audition for Hairspray, I was trying to think what I could do that would give me the courage to walk through those doors, because I was auditioning for Bernard Telsey himself.
Right.
And I was in the airport going to find my gate for my flight, and there was a t-shirt staring at me that said Canadian girls kick ass. I went, yep, that's it. And I wore it under my shirt. So he couldn't see it, but I knew it was there.
But you knew it was
I
there.
walked out of that audition, I felt like $1 million, because I was like, whoa, I threw it all in that room. And I left feeling so powerful. And that t-shirt for me was kind of that challenge, or that piece that solidified that for me. You use whatever you can to create the persona that you want.
Yeah.
And you're creative as an actor, right? Because like you said, sometimes you play a character and you really have to dig deep. But we're also taught there's a little bit of that in all of us, whether it be something evil, something, you know, unjust or unlikable. We have to find that within ourselves to be able to.
Yeah. Well put, because, you know, I mean, this is not everybody's philosophy, but my own personal philosophy is that I don't think you can play another person. I think you end up playing different versions of yourself. That's where the work comes from. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like what if I were a serial killer? Okay, what would have happened? And you sort of end up working your way backwards, and you use all the things from your life. What if my dad did this? And, you know, what if my mom, instead of when we did that, she did this? How would that have affected me? And you slowly and methodically build a very specific life for yourself that is still you. You know, I don't know that, like, I can't ever be you. I can only be a version of me that is reminiscent of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's that to me, I think, you know, that's just one of my own personal philosophies. It's my way of being able to work from the inside, you know?
Yeah. I think that's where I would find it super intimidating, playing a real person in a movie, right? Like somebody who had to play Liza Minnelli or Judy Garland. Wasn't it Renee Zellweger recently who did that?
Yeah, she was amazing in it too.
Hell out of me. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Right? Because people knew her.
Yep.
And to put yourself out there like that.
And it's another skill, the mimicry. Do you know what I mean? And not just to mimic. And I don't, you know, maybe that's not the right word, because it feels distant to say mimic. But because I don't have a better word right now, the mimicry that's a whole nother skill. To imagine going, okay, I'm going to sound like Liza Minnelli, but I can't do it so much that I sound like I'm an imitation. It still has to sound like it's organic from me. That's you know, credit where it's due, man. That's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Act on top of it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. So we're going to take a step back, and then we're going to go forward, because I want to talk more about what you're doing now. When you were in Lion King, you know, I had mentioned in my posts leading up to today that you are the reason I got into coaching. You are the very reason. You showed me what I was capable of doing, because before then I didn't think of it as a superpower or something. It's just something I did through theater school, was help people through music class, because let's face it, we all struggle. And so it was back in that time when you were doing Lion that you kind of showed me my path, which, you know, I'm still grateful for today, because it's led me on this amazing journey.
No, that has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me. That's who you are, and that's your skill. So if anyone's, you know, so I can catch everybody up with it. Basically, what happened was, when I was doing Lion King, I pulled what's called an arytenoid muscle, and it's one of the muscles that tighten and loosen your vocal cords. So I couldn't sing. Again, I had to sing high A's for a lot of that show, and I could not mix sound because my vocal cords wouldn't close all the way, you know. So it was a struggle. So I had to go on vocal rest for a number of weeks, and then And then I had to, get coaching, and I went to Diva, and I was like, yo, I don't know what to do. And look, no smoke. I was singing better by the end of the one lesson, or one coaching session. I was singing better than I was, I think even before I'd started the show. So like, that's all you, man. That's all you. And I'm the one who should be grateful. Like that saved me. I remember going back to the show, and I was like, I was singing that stuff, and it had never been that easy. It had always been somewhat of a struggle because I'm not a trained singer, right? So like, it had always been a struggle doing that show. I always felt like I had to move my mechanism,
Yeah.
But by the time I was done with you, it was like breathing. It was like speaking, and
Yeah.
it was it was like I was like, oh God, this is how it's supposed to be.
It's not supposed to be hard.
Yeah, no. Right. So
it should always, well, not that it's not hard. It always takes effort, but when you do it right, and when you do it in a healthy way,
yeah,
then that, and the more you do it, I always attribute our vocal folds and the way our voice works is very similar to the way the rest of our body works. So you go run a marathon without stretching and warming up, what's going to happen? Yeah. Your body's going to be really pissed at you. Same thing with your voice, right? If you don't do a proper warm up, you don't do those things to get that mechanism warmed up to do, especially doing 8 shows a week, singing high A's the way you had to, because as gorgeous as that song is, it's not an easy one for a lot of men to sing. Yeah. But it's the same thing. You lift weights, you build muscle, all of a sudden the weights you're using become easy.
Yeah.
And it's not an effort, and your muscles remember what to do. You don't have to be so focused on what's happening. So that's what I do when I train people, is it's strengthening the muscles, muscle memory, so that it's there without you having to constantly think about it.
That's brilliant. It's like the difference between working out and training. You know what I mean? You go to the gym and work out, that's like, oh, I'm just going to push some weight. But if you're going to go train, you're like, okay, my goal is to do such and such. So I've got to get my muscles in place so that when I do that, they're ready and they can perform at peak performance, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the biggest lesson I had to learn, thanks to you again, was how much you kind of just got to get out of your own way. Like how much, like you trying to control your instrument the wrong way is counterproductive. It's actually, you've got to kind of find a relaxation and allow the mechanism to do what it's already knows how to do. That I think is one of the biggest mistakes singers make, is like, oh, I've got to control this, I've got to control this. And it's the exact opposite what you got to do. You've just got to, like you said, train your instruments, and then allow it to do what it already knows how to do. Yes. That's the hardest. It's not easy to do that either, but that's what the training is about, right?
Yeah. Right. You literally have to get out of your own way. Like you literally have to just shut up and let it happen. And I always say, especially when I'm working with someone new, I'm like, there's madness, yes, but there's method to my madness. I'm gonna do things. I'm gonna think I'm crazy, but I promise you, there's a reason. It's not just for my entertainment, although it is because people fly around the room, and it's not because I want to see them fly. It's because I want them to get out of their head, think about something else, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, whoa, I did it. Yeah. That's because you were focused on flapping your arms.
Right. Yeah.
Up thinking, oh, here it comes. Right. Yeah. And so it's a game. And well, by game, I mean, like there's tricks. And when I point it out, then people go, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Right. Yeah. It takes somebody able to shift the perspective so that, you can get it working for you. So, it was great to get you back up on stage, because there was a lot of ailments in that cast. The stage was raked, so there was a lot of people with physical ailment. And
it was, I think that one show almost bankrupted the Canadian Actors Equity Reserve for injuries, for injury claims, like that one show. And it's partly, yeah, it was raked, but it was also because there wasn't any give. It had to support this 1 or 2 ton Pride Rock. So not only is it raked, it's like hard as steel. You know what I mean? And you're running and jumping. Plus, people are, the costumes are beautiful, but again, you have to train yourself physically to handle that, because your center of gravity changes when you're wearing this thing that's a little bit heavier on your head. Your balance is off, and you might not think, oh, that's not much, but when you're doing it repeatedly 8 shows a week, or you're a giraffe and you've got this thing on your head and you're on stilts, it's not hard to become injured from that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can totally see it. Right. And people understand, even, carrying a knapsack on their back, how it changes their personality and how they walk. And especially if it's chocolate books, that heaviness, the way it pulls and your lower back, and it pulls at your front, your sternum and stuff. So yeah, imagine, having these headpieces on and dancing with them on too.
Like, and singing, like we're talking about, and singing too. Like, we're talking about being able to relax, but you're relaxed, but you have to hold yourself up, like, or what have you. You know what I mean? Like, that's it's a challenge.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did Shrek the musical, and I was Dragon, and the dragon harness, big dragon on my back, quite literally, was 27 pounds.
Oh my God.
And I had to dance in it in heels.
Oh my God.
And try not to take out my fellow actors getting off stage in the wings. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. That was only a 2-week run, and that I dealt with shoulder issues from that.
Sure.
Because of, the wire digging into my shoulders. Puppeteering.
But in the end, it's all worth it, no? Like, especially when the audience, you know what I mean? When you get that reaction from the audience, that it's worth it. It's like suddenly all of this stuff kind of, okay, I can deal with it.
Oh yeah. It's amazing if people know what actors go through and will go on stage despite whatever ailment they have. Because they're like, oh no, I can do it.
Yeah.
For that, man. I'll use it as motivation. Don't send in the understudy. So circling back now, because your career has exploded. You have done a ton of stuff in the past few years, especially. And it's been building and building and building. And you are on this amazing track that, well, to be honest, you totally deserve. I mean, of anybody in your theater class, you are certainly one I would have pegged to be a star. And you totally are, right? In all facets of that word. Just because of the respect you have for the work, the effort you put into the work, and just you're also an awesome person. You deserve it.
You just touched, no BS, man. You just touched me. Thank you for saying that, Diva. That's flattering. Thank you.
Well, it's 100% true. I love you. I've seen you literally grow into this capable man, and I'm starting to see some of the stuff now that you've done more recently. I'm like, damn, like, it's happening for you. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. Again, it's like, I've got some stuff I think that's really exciting for me in the works that I'm hoping come to fruition. Like I had a very good November, December. I didn't book anything, but I was this close to 2 very huge series. And I was like, oh, it was like, yeah, I was real close, man. But that's how it goes. But more than that, I got into this not to become a star, you know, or that. I think that's the benefit of becoming a star is you get to do the things that you kind of want to do.
Yeah.
And so I have a script that I wrote, and there is a lot of traction on that right now. So I can't say too much more, but it's really moving right now.
Read?
Pardon me?
Is this the script I read?
It's a feature. I feel like you read everything I did though.
That's true.
It was
But this one was more particular shortly after your dad's passing.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it
play
too.
the nurse.
No, I got something bigger for you to do, man. I mean, bigger than the nurse. We're gonna find something bigger for you.
Awesome.
But it was yeah. So hopefully that all kind of continues on the journey that it's on. And then of course, you know, the short that I've been working on, that's a real passion project, you know, especially because it has to do with, you know, a lot of things we're already talking about, the importance of representation and that kind of stuff. So, you know, we've raised $12,200, $12,236 or something as of earlier today.
Nice.
Which is amazing, you know, like we were actually aiming for 15,000, but for various reasons on Indiegogo, we asked for our tier 1 goal was 7,500, and we reached that, I think, 2.5 days into the campaign, which was amazing. Wow. And so we've got 13 days left. So if we can raise the other $2,500 in 13 days, which is a lot of time, you know, like it's been just over a week and we're at over $12,000. So I'm hoping that we can get the rest of that money and really, you know, do all of this justice, because you know, especially with short films, typically what happens is you're begging and borrowing and stealing, you know what I mean? You're asking your friends to do this for free. Can you hold this light and all that kind of stuff? And we can do that. But with the message of the film, what's important to me is, one, that we do it as top notch as we can. Like, I don't want to cut corners for this kind of message. And the other thing I want to do is make sure that we employ people from underrepresented communities. So in order to do that, I don't want to be begging them for favors. I want to actually pay them. So, you know, so those things are important to me. So that's one of the reasons why we asked for the money that we did, you know what I mean? Because those things are really, really important to me, that we do it this way.
Well, and I don't think people fully understand how expensive it is even to do a short film.
Yeah, it can get very expensive. I mean, like, you know, look, there are people who are doing films on their iPhones, and that's amazing. And you know, the iPhone, you can go on 4K, you can go on 24 frame rate, like you can really make it all look good. But that's not what we're aiming for with this story. We're aiming to do it right. And yes, it can get very expensive to do it right, especially because the scene opens and it's meant to look like a real Batman film. So I've got like 2 minutes of something that's supposed to feel like an authentic Batman movie. Well, that's gonna cost us a little bit of money to do it, but it's important, you know, because it's the child. I haven't said what the story is about yet, but it's the child's imagination. So it's got to be as truthful and realistic as I can make it, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm so proud of you for pursuing these projects too. And especially because I know the passion you put into these things. It's not just a story. There's usually an anchor that's driving that story for you. And, you know, so important. And you know, the film that we were just discussing, you know, I know the importance of that to you as well. And it's beautifully written, and it shows, you know, this amazing arc of a relationship that, you know, I think is really something people will resonate with. So I'm so happy you're moving forward in following these things and following your dreams in that regard, because I know how important that is for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. I mean, you know, the feature, well, it was called Analog. We're in the midst of changing the name, but it's you know, it in the same way, like when I wrote that, you know, like, again, my heritage is really diverse, and I really wanted to highlight that, you know, especially the Chinese Jamaican culture. But I wanted to do it, especially, you know, in the times that we're in, like unification. What I felt like was like you said, my aim was to create a story that everyone could kind of relate to and feel, and it just sort of happens to be wrapped in this Chinese Jamaican rapping. You know what I mean? But in that way, my hope is that when someone watches it and they connect to it, that they connect to the story and then go, oh, so they're not much different. Oh, so that they're just like me. That was really my aim for this, you know?
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is amazing. It's funny, I was going through, I can't remember what channel it was, but Bear Grylls has these TV shows where
Uh-huh.
you choose the ending, you choose your own adventure sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
And I saw that, I'm like, he stole Steve's idea. Remember you had this idea, I don't know, like 15
I,
years ago. And I was
yeah,
like,
it
I
was.
loved those books. How awesome. Like,
Yeah,
and at the time, I'm like, technology, how are you going to do that, Steve?
yeah.
But I remember thinking it was such a brilliant idea if somebody could think of a way that you could click and choose your ending. And now that
Yeah,
I saw that, I was like, oh my God, he stole Steve's idea.
well, I don't know if you can steal the idea because it was existing anyway. But you know,
Right.
the thing that I would like to see, and what I tried to do with mine, I don't know that there's a market for it for what I wrote. You know what I mean? And I don't. So and my focus is elsewhere now. But what I felt, what I was proud about with that thing was, if you're gonna ask people to make a choice, then the choice should mean something. So, you know, the thing that I didn't enjoy about the books was like, you get to you choose, do you go through door A or door B, but there's not really a consequence to it. So when I created my version, it was like, there were much more like moral dilemmas. You could see whatever choice happened, you knew that there was a consequence to going here and there's a consequence to going there, and that to me is a lot more fun, and it's a better use of that choice. So I'm hoping if someone else ends up doing, you know, trying that again, I haven't seen Bear Grylls version of it, by the way, but like
I
I'm
haven't
hoping
watched
that
it
that's
either. I just saw the trailer. But
okay. That
basically,
I
comes in confrontation with her, let's say, and you either choose, does he do this or does he do that?
right,
And what is going to result in him actually surviving this bear encounter?
right. See, like to me, even that choice is not as fun for an audience unless you know, if I do this, I'm also going to lose that, or if I do that, I'm also going to lose this. So the choice is much more dynamic, and that I think, if is, in my opinion, that's what sort of was the driving force for the project that I had done. I was like, you know, like that, if we're going to make people, give people choices, let's really make them choose. Let's give them something to have a little turmoil over, you know what I mean? To
Yeah,
choose.
no, and I
So
think
yeah.
it's so in tune with what's more real in the world,
Yeah.
right? These dilemmas of, well, you can pick A or you can pick B. Either way, you're going to lose something.
Yeah.
So what do you pick?
Right,
Right.
right,
And
right.
it just raises the stakes. How many times did we hear that in theater school? Raise the
Right, right.
stakes, right?
Right.
Um, and it just makes it a much more interesting choice
Yeah.
to play out.
Totally.
Um, but I mean, the whole choose the ending, I think, is a great idea. But you're right. If it has, if it's peppered
Yeah.
with a little bit more,
Yeah. If I'm just hoping, I'm just saying that I'm hoping that if it does end up being done, whether it's my project or some other project that uses the same mechanism, like I'm hoping that that is sort of where they go, because I think that's, like I say, I think that's the more interesting and fun thing, because there have been other TV shows that have tried that, and none of the choose your own adventures have blown up the way that people have hoped that they would. You know, even one, I think one was I want to say it was Black Mirror. I might be wrong on that, but you know, it was, yeah, I just feel like that's part of, sorry, you disappeared for a second. That's part of what would make it really fun and special for an audience member.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
we'll see if it ever happens, or if I pick it up again or what have you. But
Nice.
but I'm amazed that you remember that. That was a long time ago. You're good, man. You are good.
I've been a fan for so long, Steve.
Come on.
Can I have your autograph?
Get out of here. You saved my voice. You're the hero, not me.
So what's coming up? Like, what are some of your goals in the next 10, 20 years? I know more really sort of stuff that's coming up, but what do you see down the line for yourself?
That's a hard question to answer, because like we said, there's so much that's not in our grasp. But if I were to design what my next 10 years would look like, I think I would just want to find really unique and touching stories to tell, and tell them, create films and TV shows and stage. I miss stage. I haven't done anything on stage for years. And the difference there is like it's immediate interaction with the audience. You know what I mean? It's immediate. With film, you do all of the stuff and you put it together and you put it out. I mean, there's positive and negatives to both, but in an ideal world, I would love to go back to Broadway. I would love to do some really great films. I would love to be part of the movement that brings back the sort of smaller independent film, this kind of story-driven films. And that doesn't mean I dislike what's happening right now. Like I love Marvel movies, but they're just really grand. You know what I mean? And I would love, and I think right now we're watching independent film, well, before the pandemic, slowly disappear. I actually think the pandemic, with all of the negative aspects of it for independent film, it might help. That plus the fact that there are so many outlets now and everybody needs content to fill these outlets, that right now it's kind of might be a good time for these smaller story-driven films to come back. So I would love to be a part of the movement that does that.
Yeah. I think if there's one thing that we've learned through this pandemic is the importance of connection.
Yeah.
Right. When you don't realize what you have until you lost it, essentially, and not being able to connect in the same ways. But we got resilient. We found new ways of connecting and doing things online. And at the beginning of the pandemic, you'd see like the cast of Jersey Boys from all over the world come together and put a song together. Right.
Yeah.
It reconnected us in different ways. And I think what's interesting is it forced us all to stop and reevaluate. And hopefully Hollywood has as well, so that moving forward, there are smarter choices being made. There are more opportunities for all. And that, we can really start doing things from a sole purpose to really make an impact in the world, to really do more than just entertainment, to have a voice.
Yeah. I mean, that's what story is about, and there's a reason why we love Marvel movies, because at their heart, there is a story. There's a story to connect to. Tony Stark is this guy that's struggling with who he is. He's got everything that the average person looks at and goes, that guy's got everything, but he doesn't. Right. And he's willing to give all of that up in order to be truthful to what he's found. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And my movie, formerly Analog, it's along those same lines, in that you have this guy who's a one-hit wonder who's chasing that, but he kind of realizes, wait a minute, that's not what's important in life. What's important in life is this. It's the same thing that we learned during pandemic. How many people couldn't work and was like, I always wanted to pick up the guitar. I'm going to pick it up. Like so many people were doing things like that. I always wanted to learn how to, I don't know, knit.
Yes.
Now I have the time to do it. So I sit down and do it. And you realize that, like, not everything is about, we're conditioned to believe, you go to work 9 to 5, 5 days a week. I mean, that's a huge chunk of your life that
Yeah.
you're not doing some of the other things to fulfill and cultivate the relationships and the things that make you truly joyous. And really, to me, like, there's a book called Finding Flow that I read during the pandemic. I did a lot of reading during pandemic, and I was in search for this space. I'm always working on my craft, right? So I was search for that, that space when you're doing it and everything else disappears, and it's just it's a heightened space. It's like your emotional and your mental are all, everything's working together. It's just all vibrating in the
Yeah.
same spot. So I was looking like, how do I get into that at will? How do I find that at will? I stumbled on this book, Finding Flow. I couldn't even begin to tell you pronounce a man's last name, but it was a really great book. And the basic premise of it is when you are doing something that requires focus, that you get immediate feedback from, then is where you start to find flow. And I bring all of that up to say, I think that's what a lot of people, his belief is that our pursuit as mankind isn't really happiness, it's to live in that state of flow. And I think whether you agree with that or not, I think that that's what people started to discover during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, oh, I can pick up, like I said, the guitar, I can knit, I can, I don't know, learn how to put a computer together, make bread, right?
There's a lot of people baking.
All of those, right? Yeah, totally. But it's a lot of those activities that require that focus, that give immediate feedback, like either the bread rises or it doesn't. You know what I mean? Either you've hit the right chord on the guitar or you haven't. So I think a lot of people kind of discovered that, and I have a feeling that the film and TV that we're going to see in the near future is going to reflect a lot of that too.
Yeah, I sort of have that same instinct, that I think the world is shifting, and I think this pandemic, as horrible as it has been, has also brought many gifts.
Yeah.
And part of that is the self-reflection, is reprioritizing what's really important. And I think you're right. I think we're going to start seeing things in different ways and learning to really truly connect.
Yeah.
Versus just, I'll have my people call your people, and we'll do it, right?
Yeah,
I think we've now realized on such a human level what our needs are, and
it's easy.
Each other.
Yeah, it's easy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's easy to get caught up, to get conditioned. Like, okay, now I've got my phone, so I can play games, and I can go on my computer and watch YouTube, and I can do all this stuff that singly is not bad, but it's really easy to get conditioned and continue to lock out human connection. Like it's the same. I think the times too have brought, like, I've always felt that the best art comes out when you have something to fight against. And the recent times have really given us a lot to remind us that there is something to fight for. There's something to there's change to happen. And I think for a long time we forgot about it, partly because of the conditioning, partly because we a lot of that stuff was kind of hidden, and it's easy to it's easy when on the surface everything looks cool. Now that stuff is broken through the surface, and while in no way am I saying I'm glad that it happened, it does, on the other hand, create an opportunity for us to really create art for art's sake, as opposed to commerce sake. And I think, again, too, we're going to see a ton of that happening.
Yeah. I said this on Wednesday when I did a live with somebody in my group, that we often have to experience the mud to find the beauty, and that the lotus flower grows from the mud.
Right.
And the lotus flower is such great, beautiful beauty that we attribute to being Zen and peaceful and connected to, source, God, whatever people's beliefs are. So this one flower has to get through the mud to emerge.
Right.
And so when we look at the world, the state of the world, yeah, it's a little mucky and it's not so pretty all the time. But from that emerges these people who find their voice and who
Yeah.
speak out. And
Yeah.
like the woman who spoke at the inauguration, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
her
The
name-
poet.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? Like out of nowhere, this woman comes and the world went, right? It had to pick up
Yeah.
their job. It was
Yeah.
just so powerful. This one little performance and of a poem, and people are like, I didn't even like poetry, and that was amazing, right? So
Right.
I fully have faith that we're in a place of transition, and
Yeah.
there's some evil and ugliness out there for sure, and there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of divisiveness, but I think the underlying fabric of what's happening is we're getting stronger. And I think you're right. I think some of the most beautiful art does come after peril.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, well, this has been amazing. One, because we got to catch up. Two,
Yes.
because you're awesome. And I'm
Come
so
on.
excited for what's in the pipeline for you and what's coming, and for your kids and what's happening in their lives too. Because I'm gonna throw this out there. You in trouble when Micaiah becomes a teenager. Just
Yeah,
say
I
it.
know, man. I know. She's bloody adorable, man. I when she was a baby, she did baby modeling, and then Sass bumped into years later bumped into one of the producers. She didn't even realize. The producer came up to her and said, "Is that Micaiah?" And Sass like, "Yes." I was with producer on such and such. I thought she was she's so beautiful. And she kept a picture of Micaiah on her phone from that shoot. She goes, I hope you don't think it's weird, but oh my God, I loved her so much. Like, yeah, it's, yeah,
Well, I
it's,
remember you were on a
it's-
shoot with her at one point, and I think she may have been 3 or 4 at the time. And you had posted a picture, and I was like, you are so in trouble when she's old.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
she is
yeah,
gorgeous. Gorgeous.
yeah, she is. Both of my kids are physically
Yes.
attractive, but yeah, she's, yeah.
And more
Let's
important
not
than
think
that,
about that yet.
knowing you the way I do and knowing Saskia the way I do, I also know that those kids have a good heart and that they're going to put a lot of good out into the world. Right?
hope so.
Talented, yes, but knowing you guys, they're good people too.
I think so.
So
Thank you
when
for
we get to
saying that,
travel,
Brenda.
I need to come and visit because I need to get to know your kids and tell them all stories they need to know about their dad.
Oh boy.
I'll bring the
they're
pictures.
gonna eat that up too. They're gonna eat that up. But as soon as actually I should be up there because of the film. I should be coming up there. I'm hoping to wait, and I'm hoping that I don't know. I don't want to deal with a 2-week quarantine. That's gonna be death for me. So I'm waiting until that. But once that's lifted, I think I'll come up shortly after, and we can hang out and turn your town red. Paint your town red.
You live in a small town, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But we're gonna make sure they stay open till at least midnight.
Oh, they do. We're an Irish background kind of town.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
The bars
good.
are open.
We're gonna have fun then.
Yes,
We're
we
gonna have
will.
fun. Well, I missed you
Amazing.
so much, and
I
thank you
miss
for chatting with me.
Thank you. And, give the family some love and hugs from me.
I will.
And yeah, let's keep connected. And I'm excited and I'm cheering you on all the way from up here.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. And I'm so proud. You need to know
Thank
I'm
you
so very proud of
No.
your tenacity and your hard work. It's all coming together for you, and it's so deserved.
Oh, thanks so much, Steve. Thank you.
Mwah. Love you.
You too. We'll chat soon.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.